Welcome to the program. I'm Jessica Van Vonderen. As far as job ads go, this is a big one. The emerging LNG industry is calling out for a 10,000-strong workforce. The federal government's green light for two multi-billion-dollar projects will see coal seam gas piped from the Surat and Bowen basins to Gladstone for export, while farmers and green groups have raised concerns about the environmental effects. The industry and state and local governments are grappling with the challenge of unearthing the future labour force. Natalie Perhanen reports.
Queensland's emerging coal seam and liquefied natural gas industry has been hailed as the state's equivalent of the Snowy Mountains hydro scheme.
Today, Queensland gets a whole new industry. This means jobs for a generation.
This is about bringing home the bacon to Queensland. It represents real jobs on the ground.
But the boom is being coupled with a burst of caution.
This is an issue for councils across the whole of the state.
Ground will be broken in the new industry with a $15 billion British gas project later this year.
The Queensland Curtis LNG project begins in the outback.
While it's predicted construction and operation of the CSG LNG industry will deliver more than 10,000 jobs, it will come with big challenges. Local governments say booms put financial pressure on regional communities as housing and infrastructure costs soar and skills run short.
There are lots of benefits. There's going to be a big boom of almost biblical proportions in areas that have never seen that sort of thing, but we're going to see very high spiking local prices, inflation running fairly strongly in those communities. We just have to put our thinking caps on and think through how we can manage the downsides of this boom.
He says regional centres are often a prime source of workers for the mining sector, and local employers simply can't compete.
The sorts of skills that councils have, people that have got plant tickets, people that work on the roads, people that have got technical or engineering backgrounds, and even those in the offices, those that do payrolls or human resource management or cost clerks, they're all wanted in this new industry.
We can't afford to pay the chequebook allowances that these companies are making. So our existing organisations in town that have contractors in either earth moving or supply chain networks will also lose staff because they can't afford to pay that either. So there's a huge increase in the wage structure that comes across here.
Ray Brown is mayor to 30,000 people in the Western Downs. The rise of the gas industry means more money and more people to the region. But he's concerned about the flow-on effect.
When you start to lose key ambulance officers, paramedics, when the police start to lose sergeants and constables to the energy sector, you start to ask a few questions. Well, how can we actually keep these professionally trained people? We have to replace them. The farming sector is a key one too, because if they're taken off into the energy sector, who's going to harvest their grains, who's going to plant our crops?
Urban employers are concerned about the potential for pressure on their workforces too. Keith Mcllwain manages a Brisbane-based civil construction company.
There will be pressure on my workforce to move into that area. There's always been a churn or a bleed into the energy and resources sector, and we have to manage that. I think it's important that the existing workforce is upskilled. That's certainly part of my workforce planning, is to ensure that the workforce has a continuous learning process, but also to encourage new entrants via apprenticeships in schools, doorways to construction programs, so that we open up the window of our industry.
The construction industry has moved to put programs in place to meet the challenges ahead. This week in Brisbane, it launched the Construction Workforce Plan in collaboration with energy companies.
We need to work with those communities, work with those councils and work with small businesses. And as I said, we've got a team of people who are doing that to map out and plan how we can also complement this industry, because it's not about competing, it's about working together. And the beauty of the plan we've launched today is we've established what it will look like well in advance of that peak of 2013.
The report recommends training and employment strategies and workforce impact statements to head off any unintended consequences of an increased labour force. The state government's pledged to balance the needs of communities and companies too.
We're meeting this challenge by putting strict conditions on the employers that firstly they need to focus on employing local people into the jobs that are available, but secondly that they also must take account of the knock-on effect in the local community and provide the training and the opportunities for those other workers and to fill those other vacancies that are created.
The Training Minister, Geoff Wilson, says this kind of planning is the key to ensuring everyone benefits from the boom.
We have an opportunity to do this well because it is a new industry. We are creating a new industry and it will take some years to do that. But getting a good start is the best way forward.
And that's what communities like Dalby are hoping for.
When I go to the high schools now and address the kids, there's talk about, I'm going to go and do this, or I'll do engineering and commerce and something, and I'll come back and I'll get a job in the energy sector. We didn't have that 3 years ago. Things have changed.